The regimes of the past were given 3 years and then shipped. That's the way it's been. There's a reason that they were signed to a 6-year contract. It's to give this regime time.
If you're bad in year 3, if you go three straight years of just being trash, then you're not showing me anything.
So the offense improving from last year to this year. But they have. The offense has jumped leaps and bounds from last year to this year.
Ben Johnson's money. He's good. He can stay.
So it's just Ben Johnson. It's just Ben Johnson.
He's calling the plays. What are you talking about?
Look, I'm saying there's been improvement on this team. It might not be showing up on the final score in the wins or loss columns, but there has been improvement from last year to this year, at least offensively. Defensively, we're exactly the same right now. On defense we're not. But there's also But hang on. Special teams, we need a kicker. That's just flat out. We need an actual kicker. We've had kickers for so long. We're not used to not having a kicker. It's a weird place to be. But defensively, and you can call it excuses if you want to, but when half your defense is sitting on the sideline injured, the guys you were intending to play, these are the guys you were intending to be your defensive players, and they're not even on the field, that plays a factor in how bad your defense is. We lost more defensive players yesterday, including Okudah, who came back into the game. We had guys that got knocked out that stayed out. We had guys that got knocked out and came back in. Savion Smith, God hope he's going to be okay. He got knocked out. Will Harris got knocked out. Melifonwu got knocked out. Okudah and Deshaun Elliott both got hurt in the game, but they came back into the game. Injuries do play a factor. Now, we are a bad defense with everybody on the field that we were intending to play. But when you have to back up those guys that you were intending to play because they were better at the position with guys that aren't as good, your defense is going to be even worse. So I'm not surprised that we have regressed so far defensively this year when we can't field who we expect to field on the defense. I am waiting out to see on Josh Paschal. We haven't seen him yet. I want to see him. There's a reason they took him high. They have a belief in him. I want to see what he turns out to be. I think he could be a reason that Hutch gets home more often. If he's good at his job, Hutch isn't going to be double teamed nearly as much if someone else on that damn line can actually do their job. Now, I want to get to what you were talking about with the draft picks and where we are as far as all that stuff. The Lions are in a good spot as far as cap space. They're 12th in the NFL when it comes to cap space, on the top half of the NFL. So they have the room to acquire guys that can help this defense faster. Veterans who have done the job for a while, know their job and know how to do it. The Lions are in a good spot positionally as far as that's concerned when it comes to money compared to the rest of the NFL. A lot of teams out there have spent a whole bunch and are looking very bad when it comes to cap space. The Lions are in the top half of the NFL, so they have that to go along with whoever they take in the draft. I agree with you. I would love for Will Anderson to be a Lion. Absolutely. And then that next pick as well, it needs to be defensive-minded in my mind. But we've been seeing it the last couple of years. It feels like we're on the same page as the regime and the staff who have been focusing mostly on the defense when it comes to the NFL draft. So they're on the same page that we are on. It just hasn't panned out yet. Again, we are so early into this regime. There is a reason these guys were given a 6-year contract. It is to break the trend that the Lions have been on for the last 25 plus years. And old heads are going to say it's older than that. But in the 90s, the Lions were actually competitive. They were actually a good football team once in a while. They made an NFC championship game. Yes, it was 1991. It was a very long time ago. But throughout Barry's run, they were at least competitive and in the playoffs. They didn't win, and it's been a long time since we won. 1991, last time we won a playoff game, or it might have been the beginning of 92, but either way, it's been a long time, and I understand that, and we're sitting here still waiting for the next example of when we're going to do it. But once every few years of making the playoffs is not where we want to be. We want to be a competitive, consistent football team that is fighting for playoff position year in and year out most years. Very rare is there a team that does it consistently all the damn time. But to be one of those teams where you can at least be fighting for a playoff spot every single year, whether you make the playoffs or not, that's where we need to be. That's a first step to me. But you need to have patience with the regime and let them do their job through the good and the bad. You cannot overreact either way. And all we've been doing as a fan base is overreacting to these Lions. Oh my God, they score so many points. Oh my God, they almost beat the Eagles. Oh my God, we got shut out by the Patriots. Oh, the horror. It's Bill Belichick. He does his job better than anybody who's ever been a head coach. What do they do really well and what do we suck at? Oh, they run the ball really well. well, and we can't stop the run. Guess what? They ran it right down our throats. Ramondre Stevenson ran for 160-plus yards on 25 carries, and the offense around it did their job. Bailey Zappi was poised in the pocket and did his job. He didn't have to throw that much, and when he did, it was for a lot of safe throws, playing off play action, and beating our defense in ways that makes it easier on the quarterback. They are good at their job. It's going to take a while for us to be good at our job. We need to have patience with the regime that has been put in place to get us where we want to go.
And not if the regime proves to you that they can't coach, though. Why are you going to give them 6 years if they just prove to be bad? Like that, so like that part doesn't.
Because we don't know if they can coach or not. We're in 22 games. How do we know if they can coach or not?
Oh, yeah, the decisions Dan Campbell's making, I think we're the lead.
Every single one of them is bad. Every single decision he's made is bad.
Dog, he kicked a field. He didn't kick a field goal. He went for it on 4th and 9, down 6 against a rookie quarterback.
I know.
Yeah.
Because he didn't. Because he's shell shocked. Doesn't have a kicker. He hasn't had a kicker.
He gave the Vikings a timeout that he absolutely didn't need to give him, and then coming out of that timeout, the Vikings scored the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, terrible.
He was the more experienced head coach in that game. The Vikings had a first-year head coach. They came in, boom. They didn't make that mistake.
I understand. We did. He has made bad decisions.
So
he's also made good decisions. But how many of those fourth downs that he went for and did get kept them in the game in the first place? Gave the Lions the lead in the first place going for those fourth downs against the Vikings.
Yeah, and then what happened? And then what happened? What happened when they needed to go for it on 4th down or at least punt it to have a chance to win? What'd he do?
There's been too many mistakes made. I can't even think of them.
Yeah, exactly. He kicked the field goal that missed, that everybody in the whole world knew was going to miss. He didn't go for it. He didn't punt it. He was like, you know what? I'm going to kick it. The one thing nobody wanted him to do. Like, he's a mistake waiting to happen, at least now. And maybe he gets better the rest of the season. But if he keeps coaching like that, I'm not giving him 6 years worth of that. And so you look at the other regimes, right? They got fired after 3 years. They probably should have been fired sooner. I wish we would have fired Matt Patricia after 1 year. I think we'd be in a better spot.
Obviously, we all wish they never even hired Patricia.
3 years.
Yeah, we all wish they never would have even hired Patricia. But how does firing this regime right now, not even a full year and a half, we're not even at a year and a half yet into it, and everyone's already been calling for his head.
I said give him all the next year. And if we're still bad, if we're still a 4 or 5 win football team, and he's still doing the same, like, I don't want to swear, if he's still doing the same dumb stuff, you don't get 3 more years to be dumb.
How much better can this team be next year? What do you really see in the draft that's going to make the team this much better? Especially if you're going to keep Goff at the quarterback, which God willing, I hope they don't. But how much better can this team get? The defense need to all of a sudden be a hell of a lot better than they've been to give the offense a chance to win football games. We've been scoring enough points to win football games. The defense just isn't there. Whether it's from inexperience, health, or talent, or scheming, it just hasn't been there yet. But again, we are 20 games into the regime.
The defense can't be any worse. But say the Lions, again, right, go 3-14 this year, or 4-13, or something. A really, really bad record. If, again, next year they're 4-13 and the defense is still out here giving up 30 points a game, then no, they haven't got better. Do I think the defense can get better? Yes. Does that mean there's a top 10 defense in the NFL? No. But if they can even get into the top 2/3, if they can be 24th instead of, I'm sure they're 32nd right now. I didn't check. Yeah. I'm sure they're 32nd. If they can just get to 24th, that'll probably push them to 7 or 8 wins if the offense can stay the same, which, again, adding Jamison Williams, even getting a fully healthy O-line, because they still don't have that. Then DeAndre Swift, hopefully he's healthy for a full year. It's probably not going to happen. But you start to add those pieces in it. You start to add those pieces together. That's an 8 or 9 win football team. Because we see bad defenses make the playoffs every single year. Not as bad of a defense as the Lions have right now, but that's where they can get better, and nobody's asking them to jump top 5 right away. But if Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn, if next year they can't get that defense to not be just the worst in the NFL, right, or at least be competitive with the bottom 8 defenses in the NFL, be interchangeable with some of those guys, I think that'll go a long way in helping your win-loss record.
Okay, so you're not asking for So you're not asking for obscene amounts of improvement. You're fine with being around 500 next year.
Yeah, of course.
So 7-10 to 8-9 to 9-8. Not 7-10. You don't want 7-10. You want at least 8-9.
I mean, you don't want 7-10. It's contextual, right? If there's something that happens,
right?
And it's they probably should be 9 and whatever. Like, yeah, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah. So you want to see improvement, and I get that, and I absolutely agree with you. I don't disagree with that at all. There has to be improvement. I agree. If we go 3 wins, 3 wins, and 3 wins in the first 3 years of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, something does need to change without it being absolutely injury riddled and losing everybody. But that seems to be getting lost in this year's shuffle so far, is that there has been great improvement on the offensive side of the ball. This time last year, the Lions were scoring 19 points a game. This time this year, including this goose egg, they're at 28 points a game. That's including this goose egg. So going into it, obviously, we knew they were the number 1 offense in football at that point. So we are seeing improvements in the Dan Campbell regime. It's on the offensive side of the ball, which is a lot easier to fix than the defensive side of the ball, a lot quicker fix than the defensive side of the ball.
There has to be still, like, even a certain level of improvement. Because, yeah, last year they were 0-10. Are they better than they were last year? Yes. Because they, by proxy, that they have a win, right? And they probably should have at least another win this year. They should have had a couple wins last year. They lost to the Ravens, giving up a 66-yard field goal in a game that I thought Dan Campbell also flubbed up. But those kind of things just happen. So they're better than last year, but it's not even just, for me, it's not just, are you better than last year? Like, you got to be a certain amount better. If you went 0-10 again, I might say fire you this year. But they're not, so he's safe from that. And outside of the Lions going like 1-16, I guess I probably wouldn't say fire Dan Campbell after this year.
Okay.
Keeps making those stupid decisions, though.
Hey, Ryan Griffin here. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Griffin and Bass. Be sure to give us your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to click the bell to receive the latest notifications from DSN and subscribe for breaking news, community blogs, polls, contests, and other content.